Hi, David. I was answering your questions for the interview, and I realized as I was writing them that a lot of context gets lost, so that's why I'm making this video right now. I actually heard or watched in a TED Talk that 50% of communication is body language and 17% is verbal, and however much is context. And yeah, so hopefully this will help. I'll answer the questions one by one. So the first question is, in the King 5 interview, you said you did some damage when you were addicted. Do you feel like it was your fault that you became addicted? Not at all. Actually, there's a saying in the 12-Step Fellowship program that we are not responsible for our disease, but we are responsible for our recovery. And now what that means is, and I was actually thinking of someone specific during the King 5 interview, and that was my friend who passed away, Adam Childs. He was the first death that really affected me. Adam Childs was an acquaintance who quickly became a friend through our mutual desperation for survival, and he had gotten hooked on painkillers as well. A lot of us did. In my entire household of college students, we all got hooked. And our household had already made the switch to heroin, and at the time when OxyContin pills became uncrushable in an effort to curb abuse, Adam was late to switch. He never shut up. He never, not once. After 2 months of making the switch to heroin from OxyContin, he passed away. He actually got a nosebleed and tried to stop the nosebleed with a sock and choked on his own blood. And he was found by his roommate the next day. Adam was an only child. He was 24 years old and really close to graduating with a bachelor's from Rochester Institute of Technology, which is where we went to school. He was from a very good family in Boston, Massachusetts. And I've been told since his death in 2010, one of his parents has actually passed away. And this is what I meant. This is what I meant when I said the damage inflicted by my addiction. Because the survivor's guilt was unbearable. We didn't kill Adam directly, but we didn't stop him as well. So that's who I was thinking of. Your second question, how did you get clean? Well, I got clean many times. See, addicts aren't people who need second chances. Sometimes it's the 5th or 6th or 7th chance that actually does it. And I never used in Washington State, by the way. I've never used in Washington State. Oh, knock on wood. But I did use in upstate New York, which is where I went to college, where Adam had passed away. I was given an ultimatum by my family: move to Seattle and live with your brother who was on Bainbridge Island, or never speak to us again. And it was the first time my family actually cut me off financially. And that's the hardest thing for families with addicts, with loved ones who are addicts, to hear, which is, you gotta let an addict hit rock bottom. You can't give them money. You can't give them a place to stay. You can't keep enabling them because you may end up paying for the hit that costs them their life. So I came here. I went to treatment in Tacoma, and it was actually my 5th treatment center, but I stayed clean ever since. The only thing that kept me clean, by the way, because treatment is temporary. No one ever should think that once you graduate treatment that you are cured, that that's enough. It's not enough. You must put a recovery plan in place. I do something for my recovery every single day. There's even a free informational pamphlet in 12-step meetings that lists a series of questions. Did I go to a meeting today? Did I talk to my sponsor today? What did I do for my recovery today? Did I act in a way that I owe an amends to somebody? It goes on and on. And the thing is, the first thing that I put in front of my recovery is always the first thing that I lose. If I ever put a job, school, even family, it's the first thing I lose. So every single day, I do something for my recovery, step work meeting, speaking with other addicts, etc. But I would really like to share with you one beautiful story, which I was told when I was struggling to even put together 2 days. An old-timer, which is what we call people with long-term recovery, in a meeting, stopped me as I was leaving, actually. He stopped me and he told me not to leave, or if I do leave, to keep coming back. He told me that I am like a flower. And in one of our literature, it says, we bloom like a flower in the sun. In our step 11, actually. I didn't know that at the time, but he said, you are this flower. And if you look at a flower and you turn it away from the sun, it will turn back towards the sun every time. You are this flower, and the sun is recovery. And as long as you keep coming back, as long as you keep coming back, you will turn back towards the sun. It's inevitable. It's science. I will never forget what he said. I just celebrated 3 years, 5 months, and 25 days today. Yeah. God, I have a million little gems like that too. Because it was so hard for me to accept. The denial was real. It was so hard for me to accept that I was an addict. And in fact, I'd love to tell you this short story about step 1, which is we admitted we are powerless over our addiction and our lives had become unmanageable. And this was the most beautiful way I've ever had it explained to me about how to admit powerlessness, which is this. How do they catch monkeys in South America? There was a man with 36 years clean who I heard speak, imagine a Santa Claus-looking fellow. He said that when he was getting clean, his sponsor asked him to find out, how do they catch monkeys in South America? And this is before Google and everything, and he looked everywhere through the 12-step literature, the Bible, etc. He couldn't find the answer anywhere. And when he came back, the sponsor said, good. That's the first part, admitting that we don't have all the answers. Then he says, this is how they catch monkeys in South America. They take a jug. First they take a nut, and they show it to all the monkeys in the trees. And then they take a jug and a rope, and they tie a rope to the jug and tie the rope to a tree. And then they drop the nut into the jug. And all the monkeys go at it like it's the last batch